welcome back to my podcast. This time I'm here with a matcha. The last time it was a smoothie. Maybe I'll make it a tradition that I always come here with some fancy drink. So, in this episode, I'm going to be talking about how to handle narcissists or people that are showing narcissistic behavior towards you. Now, I want to make a disclaimer here. Because I'm not a professional, I'm not a therapist, I don't want to diagnose anyone, and I don't want you to diagnose anyone with narcissistic personality disorder. That is not what we're doing here. And when I say the word narcissist, I'm not talking about someone with an NPD diagnosis. I'm talking about someone that is in the role of a narcissist in their relationship dynamic with you. When I say narcissist, I'm referring to a role within a relationship dynamic. So, now that we got that out of the way, let's get started with the episode. Narcissists are everywhere. A lot of people have narcissistic family members, it can be friends, it can be people at work, people at school. Sometimes you can't physically get away with them, and this is gonna be mostly for those that can't physically get away from the narcissists or just don't want to because they want to challenge themselves. That's also a valid reason. So, first of all, what are examples of narcissistic behavior? The way I identify a narcissist, the easiest way, is simply that they have this belief that they are entitled to other people crossing their own boundaries for them. So a very typical thing that narcissists will do is that you will say, oh, but I'm not okay with this. Oh, but this hurts me, don't do this. Or they will ask a favor and you say no. They will come up with all the excuses in the world. When it's family, a lot of the times they bring up the holidays, like, oh, but it's Christmas, just this time, please do it, just this time. They will make it seem like, with their excuses, that this occasion is special and something that you usually say no to because it hurts you and because you don't want to fucking do it. This is a special occasion, and because of that, you should make an excuse. And that goes for how they are as a person, how they view themselves, how your relationship with them is special. And because of that, you owe this favor to them. Or because of that, they can do whatever the fuck they want with you. For example, we're family, but I bought you this, this, and this, and this. But we've been friends for 10 years. When it's family, very typical things are like holidays. Oh, but it's Christmas. Oh, but it's my birthday. Oh, but it's Thanksgiving. Oh, but it's fucking St. Patrick's Eve. They will make any excuse to make it seem like just this time you need to cross your own boundaries for them, or just for this person, just in this relationship, you need to act in a way that you don't want to. And what usually happens is that, let's be real, most humans don't like conflict. And I'm gonna be real, like, no human likes conflict with this type of person. Like, a narcissist, like, literally scares everyone. They're gonna scare you. Like, narcissistic behavior scares everyone because nobody likes conflict. Nobody likes having this person try to tear you down and, like, tell you that, oh, you're a shitty person if you don't do this. Oh, you're this, this, and that. And, oh, the last time you didn't care about me. Like, they're gonna make all these reasons that you should neglect yourself for them. And it's scary. Nobody likes to be in a position of being asked a favor that they don't want to do or being disrespected, and you try to set a boundary and they just don't give a shit at all. Like, all they care about is getting their way, and they will walk all over you if they have to. They will say the meanest shit or the most, like, sneaky manipulative shit if they have to. Probably, like, when you think back to how you've handled these situations before, maybe sometimes you got good at it. Maybe sometimes you actually stood up for yourself and drew the line. But what happens in most of these situations is that we don't know how to handle these situations, and we completely start to try to please this person and avoid the conflict and try to be nice to them and try to be like, oh, but yeah, you know, it really makes me sad when you do that. And instead of being like, don't do this. No, we're like, oh, but really? And we're scared. We feel fear. We feel like we can't be ourselves. We can become really conscious of our every move. If we're sitting, we're like, we don't know where to put our hands all of a sudden. Because this is a scary situation. A narcissist, if not physically, mentally, they will try everything to tear you down if they don't get their way. And that's scary as fuck. And it's okay, like, I totally get it that you didn't know how to handle these situations before. Don't get angry at yourself for not being able to handle these situations the way you want to yet. You're going to get good at it. That's why you're watching this video, and I promise by the end of it, you will have a way deeper understanding on why to do what you need to do when handling a narcissist and how to manage the emotions, how to manage all of that good stuff. So let me get into the first actual real actionable step, which is the moment you get away from this person physically, when the fear is gone, I want you to let the rage come up. Let the rage come up, let the sadness come up, let the grief come up. If this is a parent, a lot of extra grief and pain is going to come up. But if it's just a random person, you still gotta let it, you know? If it's family, it's probably going to hurt more because your parents are the only people that actually owe you respect and love. I don't think anybody owes anyone, like, to be there for them except parents for their child. That's the only role in a relationship where someone's actually entitled to being shown up for and being shown love, and that is a child role. And a narcissist, fun fact, in psychology, they say that a narcissist is stuck in the role of the child. But wait, let me take my shoes off before we get into this. Whoop! Back to this first step. You need to feel your pain. The moment you get away from this person, I want you to really start getting into it. Like, how could they do this to me? How can they expect that from me? I don't want to do that. It hurts me to do that. I don't want to fucking do it. Who the fuck is this person to tell me that I'm a piece of shit for not wanting to do something for them? Like, excuse me? Am I their parent? Narcissists want you to be their parent. Literally, they want you to step into the role of the parent. I want you to feel the damn anger, and it's not gonna be nice, it's not gonna be fun. If you have to punch the fridge, punch the fridge. If you have to punch the air, be like, "Rrr!" Be like that, do that. Don't hurt yourself, don't hurt other people. Don't make too expensive damages to your furniture in your house. But you gotta get the rage out, and there is a very big likelihood that after the rage meltdown, you're gonna cry, and that is very, very natural. You need to process the emotions that you've been hiding from this person for years, because narcissists totally make us question the validity of our emotions and of our boundaries, because really boundaries is just someone else causing us some sort of emotional pain. So you need to let all these emotions come up, because what narcissists do is that they make us feel unworthy of having boundaries, and that makes us feel unworthy of that too, and subconsciously we become afraid of our own pain, because pain and anger especially is a natural protection of the boundaries. It's a natural defense mechanism against someone violating us. And this is exactly where narcissists try to come at you, is making you feel like you're not worthy of having boundaries, therefore you're not worthy of feeling your own pain. You have to suppress it for them, because pain would remind you that what they're doing is not okay. And a narcissist will do anything to stay trapped into their delusion. They will tell themselves anything to just stay trapped in this image that they're forcing themselves so badly into, that they're a good person. And, you know, that image is just things that enable them in their shitty behavior. And your pain shows them the truth. Your pain shows them that they are not right and they're not a good person for what they're doing to you. But they don't want to face that, so they try to manipulate you and tell you that you're unworthy to show that pain. You're even unworthy to acknowledge it for yourself. It's a very typical thing that narcissists say. It's like, oh, you're crying? Oh, you're angry? Remember when you did this, and this like 5 years ago? Yeah. Think about being angry again. I'll say the stupidest shit, but because you are emotional, you start to believe it. Because you're emotional, because it hurts so bad to not feel seen and heard and respected, it's like you start to believe it no matter how stupid it is. But when you feel your pain, when you let your anger come up, when you let your pain come up, and really you start to see this person for what they are and see their treatment of you as what they are, it's really not about seeing, it's feeling. It's feeling that treatment for what it fucking is. When you allow your natural defenses to come back and your natural emotions to come up, that will allow you to not be gaslit again, because you'll be like, oh my god, remember that time I absolutely had a breakdown over how this person's been treating me for years, and they try to tell me, oh, they love me and they've always been there for me and none of the pain I feel is valid. You're going to remember that time you got so emotional about them. You really gotta let it out, like journal about it, really like burn it into your brain that this person has hurt you, and not for revenge purposes, not so you can hate on this person and be like, oh my god, this person is so shitty, let's discuss everything bad about them. No, you want this so you are able to come back to your natural defenses. And when this happens, you become a lot more immune to their lies about you being worthy or not of having boundaries. Worth is a human concept. You've always had boundaries. You were just manipulated and brainwashed through fear to think that you're okay with certain things that are actually painful to you. But those things have always been painful to you. It's not about worthiness. It's just what it is. It is just your truth. And you cannot change it. You cannot change that you don't want to fucking do that for this person. You cannot change that what they've just said really hurt you and you're not okay with that type of disrespect. You cannot change that about yourself, and you don't have to. In fact, this person needs to hear you set boundaries for them. This person needs to see the truth. They need to be reminded of their own bullshit. They need to be reminded that what they're doing is not okay, and the only way they'll be reminded of that is if you remind yourself of it first. Through feeling your emotions, you let your emotions remind you of it, and then you draw a line. And now that is where I want to get. That is my next point. How to set boundaries, because oh boy, it's not as simple as you think right now. A lot of people think that just like finally calling someone out about every single bad thing they've ever done to you and screaming, crying, breaking down about it in front of them because you've always pretended to be okay with everything, and like as a last fuck you, you just completely break down in front of them, like purposely to show them all the emotions that you've been repressing. That is not the way to go about it. I'm so sorry, but let me tell you what happens when you do that. So that your subconscious motivation there is to get this person to see what they've done, to get this person to validate your pain. You're still playing into their game when you do that, because now you feel like you can finally get this person to apologize. You can finally get this person to respect you. Up to this point, you've been trying to achieve it through being a people pleaser. Now you try to achieve it with dumping every bad thing they've ever done to you back onto them and the pain you felt. They're not going to get it. They're going to tell themselves that you are absolutely crazy and feed into the delusion that they are a good person. And everything they've done to you was justified, and everything they've ever done to you was good. But their reaction is not even the point. What you want is to clarify within yourself what your purpose is with this person right now. And I'm not saying purpose as in like a spiritual sense. Like, what do you want right now? What are your motives right now? I want you to make it very clear to yourself what you want with them from now on. And this includes clarifying your role within the relationship and their role within your life and their duties in your life and your duties in your own life and in their life. So this is what some people call the separation of tasks, which is that you need to clarify to yourself that validating yourself, standing up for yourself, being there for yourself, and it being grounded in your own self-image, but especially validating yourself and validating your emotions is your responsibility. It is your task, it is your duty. It's not theirs. And their duty is to do the same for them, but their duty is also to be okay without you, to be okay without you kissing their ass. When we're talking about you wanting to go up and tell this person everything they've ever done and have this like last fuck you moment where you just tell them every way they've ever hurt you, they're not going to understand. And subconsciously, the reason you're doing it is to make them understand. It's like they'll finally get it. They'll finally see. They'll finally forgive me. They'll finally apologize. They'll finally see how bad they fucked up. But they will not see it. A narcissist will avoid everything that bursts their bubble of how good of a person they are. They are not going to see your pain, and I'm sorry, but you're only going to make a fool of yourself, like crying and screaming to this person every bad thing they've ever done to you, and they're literally gonna laugh in your face. This happened to me, guys, and I do not want it to happen to you too, because it's so humiliating, like patronizing. Like, I open up to this person about all the ways they've done me wrong, and they're like, you crazy or something? Like, girl, I want you to look at the hope within you that you can change this person and make them respect you and make them treat you how you want to be treated, and fucking kill that hope, because it's not going to happen. And the pursuit of making this person love you is going to destroy you in and out. So I want you to forget about that hope and put that hope and faith back into yourself. Have faith in yourself. Have hope that you got this, that you can set boundaries with this person and actually stop them from emotionally and energetically impacting you. I want you to have hope and faith within yourself and not in someone that will not even see how they fucked up. They are trying to make every excuse not to show up for you and not to care about you. I think that is just perfect confirmation for you to put that hope and faith back into yourself and just pull it away from them, because no matter how harsh you are and no matter how nice you are, they are not going to get it. People that operate like that are sick. They have this delusion of how perfect they are because they need it. They're clinging on to it, and they're trying everything in the world to maintain this delusion and this image of themselves that they're a good person. And they're not going to admit to having mistreated you, and you trying and being so vulnerable to them. You can do it, but just know that it's not gonna work. It's not gonna do anything. You can do it just for the sake of like fighting your fear of what this person will think of you. You can do it. I'm not telling you to not do it because it's embarrassing. Nothing is embarrassing. We live on a floating rock. But if you're doing it with the intention of getting this person to see your pain, for a long time you have not been expressing your pain, so it's valid for you to think that the only reason they don't see your pain is because you have not been expressing it. Honey, they've been seeing your pain subconsciously and doing everything to make you suppress it and not see it and not look at it, because they don't want to look at it, and they are subconsciously completely aware of what they've been doing. They're completely aware of how bad they've been hurting you, but they are not going to face it, and you need to accept that. So I'm not telling you to not call this person out about every bad thing they've ever done. I'm just saying don't do it with the intention of making them finally see you, because when you do this, you're actually putting the blame back to yourself. You're blaming yourself. You're being like, oh, the reason this person didn't give a fuck about me is because I didn't try to set any boundaries. It's because I never showed my pain to them. You did, you probably did, and they hated it, and that is why you started people pleasing. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes when you're really a really big people pleaser, you go into the dynamic as a people pleaser, but a lot of the times people don't go into friendships as a people pleaser, but the other person pushes them into that role. If this person has been guilt tripping you and making excuses anytime you try to say no or try to set any boundary, it's like they've shown you right then and there that they don't give a fuck. So why are you trying to make them give a fuck now? It's never been your fault that they don't give a fuck. It was not because you were hiding your emotions and pretending to be okay. If that's the case, the person is not a narcissist. Sometimes you're a people pleaser with people that are not narcissists, and then this applies. But those people will ask you how you're doing. Those people will try to be there for you and help you through the people pleasing and ask you if you're doing okay and tell you that, look, you can say no to me. I'm okay with that, and I still love you and think you're a good person and think you're amazing and great just because you don't want to do something. That's a dynamic of a people pleaser and a non-people pleaser. But a people pleaser and a narcissist is different. A narcissist likes that you're a people pleaser. A narcissist doesn't want you to set boundaries, and they will never ask you how you're doing or if what they're doing to you is too much. Nuh-uh. In fact, when you try to tell them, they will make excuses. So right then and there, that behavior shows you that this person does not give a fuck about you. And they're not going to give a fuck when you explode and show all your emotion, because it's never been your fault in the first place that this person didn't give a shit about you. It was not because you didn't show your boundaries. It's because you did, and then they told you that you're a fucking shit person for that, and that made you question whether you have the right to set those boundaries. But that's the thing, they pushed you into this dynamic. It was not your fault that you ended up like this. Nobody really knows how to handle narcissism for the first time. It takes some time to even realize that someone's been hurting us, and it takes even more time to be able to own that within ourselves and then let that pain make us set new boundaries. And this is what I want to talk about right now, is that when you set a boundary or say no to any favor, not even a favor, even just you giving them their energy without you wanting to is a favor. So like any sort of boundary that you're trying to set, when you set it, do not be super nice about it. This is a big mistake a lot of people make. They're like, oh, yeah, when you do that, it makes me like really sad, and I just, sometimes I feel like I don't know if you even like love me, and like really when you do that, it makes me feel sad. Like, please, could you not do it? I said that to a narcissist once, and I hugged them, and they were laughing while I was hugging them. If you have tried that before and it failed, why the fuck would you do it again? You know why? Because you're afraid. You're afraid to show your anger. You're afraid to set real boundaries. Not just these, oh, please. Not just ask them to respect a boundary, but to set a boundary. Because you're afraid of conflict, because they hate boundaries, and it's totally normal to be afraid of conflict with a person that will literally explode over you trying to set a boundary, or even if not explode, they're like try to be like weird about it. They try to be sneaky and all that. It's totally fine that you are afraid of that and you have physical fear in your body while you're trying to set a boundary. But I want you to be as fucking firm as you can be. You can be like, I do not like it when you do that, and I am not going to let you do that. Or when it's a favor, it's like, no, I said no, and I am not doing that for you. I want you to have that healthy aggression in your voice. And when they get defensive, when they start to emotionally blackmail you, but I've done this for you, but we're family, but I love you, either that, or they'll tell you like, who do you think you are? Like what are you now? Like, are you in your villain era or something? literally, if they try to attack you either in the emotional blackmail way or trying to tear your ego down, these are the two main things they do, is to either shame you or guilt trip you. But both of them is a way of shaming. It's like literally guilt and shame, guilt tripping and shaming you. And they'll either be aggressive about it or aggressive about it but more whiny, like, oh, but I love you, but please, but I've done this much to you. Or they straight up start talking about you and how you're a fucking piece of shit. I hate that even more. So when they start to do that, do not argue with them. Do not start to be like, but when you did that, like, do not try, especially when they're trying to tear your own image of yourself down. Do not be like, oh, but I only did that for this, but I only did that for that. You're doing this because you're trying to make them see you as a good person again. Because, you know, when they're guilt tripping you, they're saying that they have this image of you not showing them enough love. And when they're shaming you, they're showing that they have this image of you of, again, you being a bad person, or you being selfish, or you being cringy or embarrassing or anything like that. You do not argue and fight with them about you being good enough, about you not being cringy or embarrassing or selfish or not showing them enough love, or about, oh, I do love you. Please do not. Do not argue, because again, they will not see. They do not want to look at it. They're trying everything to maintain their delusion. They're not going to want to look at the truth. That's the biggest thing about a narcissist. They hate the truth. They're terrified of it. So what I want you to do in this situation is, instead of going into their game, you either say bye, or if you want to stay there, keep challenging yourself, because that's totally okay. I mean, in a way, we come here on Earth to take on these challenges. You literally could walk away from every narcissist, but there's, not gonna lie, it can be kind of fun. Like, I wonder how much I can handle. I definitely have that mentality. I'm such an Aries. But I want you to be like, okay, I set a boundary and I really don't like that you're trying to emotionally blackmail me. Or I set a boundary, I really don't like that now, instead of respecting it, you're trying to tear my image of myself down. And nothing you say will change my mind about that. I want you to say that. Nothing you say is going to change my mind about this boundary that I've just set. And I like to call them out when I say that. It's like, no amount of emotional blackmailing or no amount of shaming me will change my mind about not going to that certain event, about not doing that favor for you, about not expecting that you just fucking touch me like that. Don't touch me like that. I want you to be as firm as you can, and you're a brick wall. You do not flinch. You do not go into the whole, oh, but I am a good person, but no, I am. No, you do not. I want you to just close off to anything they're saying and just be like, no amount of shaming me, no amount of emotionally blackmailing me will change my mind about how I am not okay with doing this for you. That is how I want you to go about it. And literally after that, just leave. And they're going to be offended. Either they're going to leave, though. Because if you've said that nothing is going to change your mind, either you leave or them. Don't keep it going. Don't let this be an argument. Arguing is not something you want to do with the narcissist, because then they're still winning. Because even then, when you're arguing, you are putting your power into them, because now you winning that argument depends on whether they approve of what you're saying or not, whether you're able to convince them of being right or not. That is why never argue with a narcissist, but be firm as fuck about your boundaries. That is something that I want you to do. And specifically say, there's nothing they can do, nothing they can say about you that is going to make you change your mind. Now, after this phase, they're going to get offended. They're going to get offended. They're either gonna do whatever people do when they're offended. They're either gonna do the silent treatment or like some other bullshit, or like look at you like look at you, give you that look that like, they're like so dramatic. It's like deeply angry, broken. Like they will just give you that look of how disappointed they are and how angry they are, how you've ruined their lives. A narcissist literally told me once that I ruined their lives because I stopped being friends with her when I was 14. And she told me that like 3 years after. Like, you're 17 and you're pissed about what I did when I was 14, and what I did was literally just not being friends with you. Like, shut the fuck up. But anyways, when they play the blame game and the offended game and or they like pretend to not be offended, and then like in little jokes and like little ways they'll show that they are offended, like, oh, when you did that, or like, yeah, you sure never make promises, because they wanted you to promise to them that they're gonna do that favor or some bullshit. Like, do not take back what you said. Do not take back your boundary just because they're playing the blame game now, just because they're being like, you have said what was needed to be said, and that's it. You're not taking it back, and do not try to make up for it. You have done nothing wrong. And this is so silly. Like, why do they get to hurt you? But the moment you hurt them, it's like, oh my god, oh my god, so terrible. The world is, everything's over. How many times have you cried because of this person, terrified that they will see and take it as an attack on them? But when they're crying, they rub it in your face. They get their tears, they get their eyeballs out of their head with their hands, like, show them that they're crying. Narcissists are weird ass, silly ass people. They be crazy. So whatever you do not apologize, and do not try to make up for it. Don't go into, like, if they say some insult because they're offended, do not even respond. Or like just be like, make some face, make like, but don't feed into it. Especially don't fall back into people pleasing. If they try to insult you, don't be like, yeah, I mean, I can be pretty stupid sometimes. Bitch, no. You sit there and you either express it in some subtle small way that you don't agree with that, or the only thing you're allowed to do if they call you out is express that you don't agree with it. If they try to insult you when they're offended and call you stupid or call you all that, just be like, I don't think that. I don't agree with that. Or be like, well, that's one opinion. I don't agree with it. That's the only thing you're allowed to say. But don't try to reason. Don't try to be like, oh, but I do love you because when I did this and this. No. Do not give your power away to this person ever again, no matter how offended they are. Now, after the offended phase is over and they've realized that they really can't get you to put them back on that pedestal and be afraid of them again, they're going to try to be nice to you. They're going to buy you something out of nowhere. Be like, oh, how unexpected. Right after I stopped being scared of you, you try to buy my respect for you again. It's like, they're going to try to be nice. And this is for themselves. They're doing this for themselves to prove to themselves that they're a good person again. Like, they're doing this to, again, in their own eyes, be like, oh my god, I'm doing this for them. I'm doing all this for you. And like, oh my god, very typical thing. For example, what happened to me is like, I started setting boundaries with a narcissist, and the offended phase like expired, and it was the nice phase, and they were just apologizing for everything. And it was so dumb. Like, they would like sneeze and they'd be like, sorry. Shut the fuck up. Like, it's so silly. They will do anything to feel like the victim and to look like the victim, and it's literally giving like 6-year-old behavior. And I want you to look at the hypocrisy. I want you to look at that and just be like, girl, like, look at it, like I can't believe like there are people that are this dumb. Like, I want you to like laugh to yourself in your head when you see them do this. Do not go into it, because this is another form of guilt tripping. This is another form of them trying to get you to go back into that dynamic where you're afraid of them and you're afraid you're not a good person enough for them and all that, and they're trying to be nice so you can get you to feel bad for them. Don't. Still, keep your boundaries. You don't have to call them out. You don't have to be like, oh, now you're trying to be nice. You can if you want to, but I don't think it's necessary. You can take the niceness. You can be like, oh, thanks, if they say your outfit is nice. You don't have to be like, well, someone decided to, I don't know, grow some humility. You don't have to call them out through the whole time. You can just be like, okay, like, you're being nice, okay. You don't have to also be too in awe about it. Just be your natural self about it. But I know it's really hard to be your natural self around a narcissist. That's why I'm being so specific when I talk about what you should do, because it's really hard to just exist around these people. But be like, okay, they're being nice. Don't reject it, but just accept it. Be like, okay, you're nice to me, but don't be like, oh my god, thank you so much. Thank you, you're the best person ever to exist. Be like, yeah, thanks. Okay. Like, don't be crazy over them. Don't be crazy over how they've just decided to switch up and be nice. And see, whatever happens after this, if you keep doing this, this person will either drift away from you, you'll naturally drift apart, or if this is someone you're working with or their family, or you can't get away from them yet, it's just going to change the relationship. Like, you're probably going to grow a bit more distant, but what I want you to feel within yourself is feel the distance between you and them, because feel that you are you and they are them. Their worldview, their bullshit, their delusion is them. They can convince themselves of how much of a terrible person you are, but that does not have to influence your worldview and your view of yourself and your values and you being assured of your own character. You do not have to let their forced vision of you change your vision of yourself. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to stop looking at this person as someone you trust. Start looking, I know this is hard, but start looking at them as like an enemy, not in a way where you hate them, but as if this was a game and you were enemies in a game, and you were like opponents. And because their game is trying to get you to give your power away to them. And I want you to remember that even when they're being nice, a narcissist will not always be a narcissist, but do not let that bring you back into questioning yourself and gaslighting yourself and be like, oh, well, they were not a narcissist on 2023 July 1st. Do not put up with their bullshit when they are being shitty towards you. Just because they were right about some things, that doesn't mean you have to question whether they're right about you. So I want you to stop looking at this person as an equal. Start looking at them like a child, not someone you are responsible for. But start looking at their behavior, like start looking at this person as a mentally challenged person. Like stop looking at them as someone you can depend on. And I know this is sad when it's a parent, but there is nothing you can do. It is what it is. It's just the truth. You really cannot depend on this person. So there is nothing delusional about looking at this person as someone that is not there for you emotionally and that is unable to be there for you emotionally. And like, literally, I want you to look at this person as a mentally challenged person and feel bad for them, or hate them if you want to. Not gonna lie, because they can be really evil. So it's okay. I'm not saying you have to feel bad for them and pity them for how pathetic they are. Like, you can if you want to, but what I want you to do is to just stop looking at this person as someone that you can trust. And this is hard, but it is what it is. You could never trust them. And the reason you kept getting hurt is because you kept playing into their bullshit and trusting them just because you felt like a bad person if you didn't trust them. But your anger, your boundaries, your natural like disgust with this person is there to serve you. It's there to help you protect yourself. And seriously, just stop looking at them as an equal. And I'm not saying as an equal in a way that they deserve less or that they deserve, I'm not in like a worth way, but in a way where a child is not equal. You can't expect a child to understand what you understand. You can't expect someone that has a mental deficiency to excel in that certain area that they're mentally deficient at. That is how I want you to start looking at this person. So this is hard. This is not easy. This is one of the hardest things in the social aspect of human life. And don't be angry at yourself for not being able to handle it in the past. The rage and the sadness you feel from letting this person walk all over you and feeding into their delusion within yourself, the pain you feel from that is naturally going to go away when it served its purpose of helping you transform into someone that is able to handle these situations, that is stable in their own worthiness. The way people treat you have nothing to do with you, but it has everything to do with them. It has nothing to do with your worth. It was never your fault for this person treating you this way and you believing it. You did not know better. And most people still don't know better. It is not fair to expect yourself to just have always been able to deal with like such lengths of emotional manipulation and shaming and just like emotional oppression and like fear and emotional abuse. You were not trained for this. It's okay to show compassion for that part of yourself and let that compassion drive you to become someone your younger self needed. So I want to leave this episode here. After this, I want you to do something nice for yourself. Maybe journal, maybe plan about how you're going to go about handling narcissism from this point. Do something you enjoy, have some fun, and it's gonna get better, I promise. You're going to attract the people that are meant for you. In fact, first you need to accept who you are and establish who you are and like come back to people's lives as this new version of you. And a lot of them are not gonna like it. You're gonna lose friends. You're gonna feel like you're being crazy, you're being alone. But do not let that stop you from showing up for yourself, showing up for your emotions, and being true to yourself and to other people. Truth is the most important thing in life, I swear. The more I am on this whole journey, literally all I keep being brought back to is just like truth. So yeah, do not let everybody's bullshit convince you that the only way to live is to keep lying to yourself and other people. So reconnect with your emotions. Your emotions are your way back to truth. So honor them, treasure them, and work with them. I really hope you're doing well. I really hope the universe is blessing you, and if it's not, then just know that it's gonna be okay, and you're not being punished, you're being prepared. Have a good day.